It's a horse beef. And what a night last night was. Truly, truly a night to remember. Potentially card of the year. One of the best cards I've seen in years. Imagine if the co-main event didn't turn out the way it was. Oh my goodness, man. This could have literally been one of the greatest cards of all time, and we're just talking about straight bangers, just the results of all the fights, man. The whole main card, almost all the prelims, dude. This was an all-timer card. And it's capped off with my boy Petr Yan reclaiming the 135-pound strap after delivering one of the greatest performances I've ever witnessed, right? Because Merab, in my opinion, was at his best last night. He did everything that he normally does, but the difference this time is that Petr had an answer for every single thing that Merab did in there. Holy shit, what a performance. He was putting the jab on Merab early, hurt him with a 1-2 in the first round, probably took that round because of the damage that he dealt, and then just continued to snowball Merab as the fight went on. But Merab is so damn tough and has such incredible cardio that he was able to stick in the fight. And it was competitive, right? It was competitive, similar to how JDM versus Bilal was competitive, except with a very clear winner, right? And honestly, a very similar case to that, even on the scorecards, where people are, trying to give Merab rounds here and there. But just like JDM versus Bilal, this fight could have very easily been scored 5-0 for Petr Yan here. I think two of the scorecards were 49-46, one of them 48-47. So yeah, I can see how you would probably, like, optics-wise, give Merab certain rounds, but this fight kind of played out the way that certain people describe Umar versus Merab, or saying, oh, Merab's just doing all the emoting and shit, but Umar's landing the damage. No, Umar was landing like no damage in that fight, as opposed to this one, right? Petr Yan was actually landing big damage, even though he was outstruck on the numbers. Like, as far as volume goes, Petr was the one landing the truly impactful strikes here, and he honestly kind of ended up bullying Merab by the end of it in there. Bully Petr Yan showed up. He showed up at the press conference calling Merab gay, and he showed up in the cage as well, dude. What a performance. The body work, punishing Merab's sloppy striking with kicks to the body. Man, those left round kicks to the body were giving Merab such trouble. Dude, he even slammed Merab on his head at one point, I believe, in the third round. This is one of the greatest performances of all time. This was a masterclass of how to deal with Merab Dvalishvili. And I don't believe that anyone else could have put up that performance that Petr Yan just did. Anyone who was saying that Umar was the only one to beat Merab, I thought you were crazy beforehand. Now, if you think that Umar even has a shot against Petr, you will be sorely mistaken, I believe. But we may have to wait until that fight is actually made, because Umar has that fight coming up with Figgy. And I would assume that the UFC would potentially try and set up a trilogy fight, although I'm kind of unconvinced by that, because I don't believe that the UFC wants to give Merab another chance at the belt, and that's not at all my thoughts. I believe that the trilogy fight should be made, because the first fight was such a blowout. This fight was such a barn burner, but at the same time kind of a blowout from Petr Yan. So you have to do it again, in my opinion. And also, Merab's insane level of activity as a champion should be respected and should be rewarded, in my opinion. And he proved that he, despite being outclassed in this fight, is still very much able to keep up with these guys. Even when he's taking such heavy damage like he was taking, Merab was never out of that fight, dude. He's so fucking tough. He's so incredibly tough. And I didn't even mention how dominant his title reign has been. So even though it's been kind of short when you think about it, it's been like, a year and a half since he became champion. But man, the title defenses, the activity, the dominance. He's the bantamweight GOAT, and I really hope that some revisionist history doesn't start taking place where people try and take away from Merab now and say that he was never that good, or, he's no longer the bantamweight GOAT. No, this is the bantamweight GOAT still. The trilogy has to be made. But Petr Yan was at his very, very best last night, and Petr Yan at his best is the closest thing to an unbeatable fighter I've ever seen. The way that he's able to mix it up, the way that he does the pressure, the boxing, the clinch work, the takedowns. He took down Merab about 5 times and shot far less. He just displayed absolute mastery of mixed martial arts in this fight. He really did. Over the course of 5 rounds against Merab at an insane pace. Holy shit. But obviously I want that Petr Yan versus Umar matchup, because it would be a lot of fun, and it would be so funny to watch my favorite fighter beat down Umar. That would be just hilarious. And this is proof that grappling is not boring in and of itself, right? all of the fans, the salty fans going around saying, go watch boxing, go watch this. No. This is what MMA is about. This is what high-level MMA is all about. MMA, mixed martial arts. This is not wrestling. This is not a jiu-jitsu competition. This is MMA. And Merab Petr just displayed that at the highest level while also entertaining us greatly. So wow, it's pretty amazing. It's amazing that these guys reminded us that high-level MMA doesn't always just have to be a smudge fest. MMA at the highest level can still be a spectacle. And thank you for reminding me of that, Petr and Merab. But we finally saw Merab truly slow down in a fight. Now, even when he slows down, he still is able to push it. But I feel like we actually saw him begin to slow down because of the shattered nose from those continuous jabs from Petr, man. Those stiff fucking jabs that he was landing on Merab were doing such damage to that nose and hammering shots to the body, right? It's a very simple game plan, and it was always there, right? We saw it with Merab getting hurt to the body on multiple occasions throughout his fights. Like, he's always been a little bit vulnerable to the body, so I've always been surprised that fighters haven't taken more of an approach centered around attacking his body more frequently. But it took the fucking Picasso of MMA to finally get it done. And holy shit, dude, holy shit. I don't know what else to say, man. It was just such an amazing performance, incredible courage, championship spirit shown by Merab as well. He was never out of that fight, despite getting boxed up and getting chewed up, man, getting that body destroyed and getting outclassed in every area. He was still in there and still put up incredible numbers. Right? And this was an attempt at a 4th title defense in 1 year. Dude, Merab deserves all the grace in the world for this loss. Yes, he was outclassed, but the dude went to war for us once again. It's just so crazy, dude, the shift in Merab's fights, entertainment-wise, dude. Went from smudging Jose Aldo to just going on a run of super entertaining title defenses, capped off by this one. Yes, he lost the fight, and I'm sure he may regret some of the decisions that he made in there, standing toe-to-toe with Petr. But Petr also forced him to do that. It's not like it was just a conscious decision for Merab to stop shooting takedowns. No, he was shooting a ton of takedowns. He was shooting a ton of takedowns, but this time Petr just had the answer. But knowing how insane Merab truly is, I doubt very greatly that this is the last we've seen of him. I don't think that this is the beginning of some downward spiral for Merab. Suddenly, no. I think he will come back after somewhat of a lengthy break. I think he should take a few months off at the very least, recharge, right, recover, and then come back and continue what he's been doing, although he may have to get through Petr Yan for a second time, which may be a tall ask, especially after that last performance, right? The age, the activity, it may be catching up to him, but I really hope not, because I love Merab, and I will always support him. So here's to hoping that we get the machine back in the title picture once he makes his return. And that Umar rematch, whether it's for a belt or not, is super interesting, of course, just because of the beef and the history between the two of them.
I am in the hospital with my brother Aljama Sterling. And I'm on the phone with my mother. Dediko. Kui gamar jobak English surat. Kai ke khutone. Kena chole dedi mikhol khardam. Aba kargat. Baila peri khutian ziya dedi. Bzolak zeldebar asam sportiya. Ars pirvalat samigiya da. Now
I just love to see Merab in good spirits, right? Even in the ambulance with his boy Aljo talking to his mother. Beautiful moment, and the message at the very end there is perfect, right? I think everyone in this day and age, because people these days seem to be very bad at taking losses, but that mentality right there from Merab to say that it's not the first time he's lost and it won't be the last time either is just, that's just life in general. But to admit that shows great humility, and I just wanted to highlight that moment because Merab Dvalishvili is the man. He's just a wholesome guy, and it's just nice to see him in good spirits even after going to war like that. And then this video had to come around and break my fucking heart, dude. It just had to come around. It sucks seeing Merab like that right after I see him in good spirits. Obviously, he's in good spirits in this video, but just seeing him tearing up, talking about his country and his family and all that, oh, God, it's a harrowing sight.
Что я думаю? Сейчас, наверное, он в джакузи опять с мальчиками.
What can I say? He's probably in jacuzzi right now with the boys hashing it out.
Не, ну он всю неделю там много говорил, честно сказать.
The whole week he kind of talked a bit too much. I'll be honest about it.
Я думаю, что мое время немножко пришло.
I think maybe it's finally my time for a bit.
Little bit, да?
A little bit.
But Petr Yan didn't forget about the jacuzzi, man. He didn't forget about the jacuzzi. And he's going after him after the fact. It's okay, dude. It's friendly trash talk. He says it himself, man. Merab did talk a lot of shit during fight week. So it makes a lot of sense, dude. Of course, Petr is going to, get his get back after the fact. But it's not like he's going, in any crazy direction, getting personal about it. I just wanted to highlight that, dude, because I did make that video about Petr Yan trolling him over the jacuzzi shit and calling him gay and stuff like that. So we have a follow-up here. He is once again going at Merab for the jacuzzi. But yeah, man, not much more to speak on when it comes to that amazing fight. Incredible battle between two of the highest level warriors that we have in the sport right now. Amazing moment for Petr Yan. Dude, fantastic. One of the greatest performances of all time. I'll say it once again, dude. But let's move on to the co-main, and then we'll just go from top to bottom and go over the rest of the card. Man, we were robbed of a possible barn burner. Like this one I feel like was guaranteed to be such a fun one, dude. Such a fun one. It started off high octane right off the bat. Pantoja throws a high kick, gets dumped, tries to cushion his fall using his arm, and his elbow seemingly just gave out. I'm not sure what the bone is that looked to have broken, but it did look like a very serious break, which it just confuses me how Dominic Cruz puts out tweets like this with very limited information. It was very clear from all of the replays that it wasn't a shoulder dislocation, so I'm not sure what Tom Cruise, I was about to call him, fucking Dominic Cruz, is on here, man. Like, I have no clue if it's rage bait or what it is. All I'm saying is that he's reeking of alcohol and cigarettes at this current moment in time. But seriously, though, it doesn't get more bittersweet than this. Obviously, I picked Joshua Van to win this fight. I expected him to win this over the course of 5 rounds, regardless. But this is just not the way that any of us wanted this to end. It's hard to be even happy about this. Like, of course, as I said, bittersweet. I'm happy for Joshua Van to have that belt, right, at his age, and the fact that in that moment, right, his life changed. And of course, it's very easy to shit on him for celebrating after that moment, but he's a 24-year-old dude from Myanmar who just had his life changed in real time. Of course he'll be happy regardless of how it ended. And I'm confused about how Joshua Van's getting shit just for celebrating. I get it, right? In the moment, celebrating after a freak, like fluky victory. Because yeah, it's a fluke. It was a fluke. Of course it was. You can't really call it anything else. Obviously, you can give Joshua Van credit for making that happen, right? Because he dumped Pantoja over. He caused the injury to happen, but obviously that wasn't his intention, and it was fluky, of course. But criticizing Joshua Van for being happy about being a champion, not to mention the first Asian male champion since Israel Adesanya, right? The pay rise that he's about to experience, right? The endorsements, the deals, the way that his life is literally about to change. The guy comes from nothing, dude. Of course he's going to be happy to become a champion in the UFC, and of course that's not the way that he wanted to do it, and he said it himself. So I'm just confused as to how he's being criticized here.
The thing is, man, I don't think that was a real fight, It's bittersweet. Like I said, man, he's the greatest of all time in my eyes, and I really want to feel what he's like in the cage and things like that. So, man, it's just crazy that thing happened. I feel like Pantoja do deserve a rematch. We're just going to see how the UFC look at this.
He said it himself that he doesn't see that as a real fight. What else do you want from the kid? He handled it with grace. You cannot get on his case for being happy about becoming a champion. It makes no sense. It's bitter. It's salty bullshit. In fact, you should take a page out of Pantoja's book and learn how to handle this situation like a man.
Hello, guys. That's what happened, accidents. When I go to the UFC today, I think I'm having my best shape of my life. When I see Joshua Van out the other side of the octagon, I believe I can finish him in the first round. That's what I try to do. Best camp of my life, best catch weight, best everything, you know. I feel so comfortable in the octagon. That's my octagon. That's my belt. That's everything I did in my life, in my whole life to that moment, you know. And Joshua Van just came and win this belt. I talk with my wife about that. Like, it's not just about myself today. It's about Joshua Van, you know. Joshua Van, that's his destiny to win this belt tonight. And he just can win this belt with my injury today, you know. And I talk with God. God gives him the message. And I really believe in God and all the message. I pray a lot. And I want to work very hard. I work very hard all my life, and I'm gonna work again, and I'm gonna take my belt again, you know.
Just pure humility and a championship mindset from Pantoja. He's always spoken about hard work, how I work so hard for this, and I believe him when he says he's going to get back in there and work and try and get his belt back. The only issue, man, and the most unfortunate part about this is that break, especially with like the 20 different angles and replays slowed down that they had to show us. Thanks, by the way. Thank you, the UFC fucking broadcasting team, for showing us that fucking replay like 38 times with fucking 47 different angles. I know that's not even possible, but you know what I mean. This shit was so disgusting, man. Just how severe it looked, man. I'm not even sure if Pantoja can come back again. It's so terrible, dude. At his age, it's the worst possible time to sustain a serious injury like this. I know Yuri Prochazka came back from a serious, like, catastrophic injury, but this is just so unfortunate, dude. One of the most dominant title reigns in modern times is ended like that. It sucks. It really does suck, dude. All the respect in the world for Pantoja for handling it with such grace. He's such a man's man, as I always say. I just love Pantoja. I admire Pantoja. I do. I really do admire Pantoja, the way that he carries himself. I think he's an example for all of us. And yeah, man, just wanted to put a little spotlight on Pantoja for how he's handled this. Just such a fantastic dude, family man. Nothing but respect for the guy. And I hope, and I pray, I will pray for the dude, that he can come back and at least challenge for the title once again. I really do hope that this is not a career ender for him. That would just be a tragedy. But even though the fight didn't go the way that we all wanted it to, right? It didn't even play out at all. There was no contest here. We didn't really get to see the stylistic clash. It's such a shame, really. But I want to say once again, congratulations, Joshua Van. He may have won the belt off of some random fluke, but he definitely deserved the chance to be in there in the first place. He's just so game. And if anybody, aside from Pantoja, deserves to have the belt around their waist right now, it is Joshua Van, because of how active and how game he really is. So congratulations, Joshua Van. That fight with Tatsuro Taira will be fantastic. Speaking of which,
Nice to meet you, everybody! I'm happy to
how is this dude so fucking lovable? Tatsuro Taira is hilarious, bro. I'm gonna call him J-Pop from now on. He just looks like a J-Pop star and fights like a killer, man. He's showing fight over fight improvements. I am such a fan of Tatsuro Taira now. You killed me with that post-fight speech like he does every single time. Oh god, man, great showing. I know it was an early stoppage. It was definitely a little bit early. And that referee, whatever his name is, dude, I got my eyes on you, man. Got my eyes on you, because there were some interesting calls tonight, right? I think it was a little bit early. Like, there's not really much more Brandon could have done in that position, and he's Brandon Moreno, right? If you're giving anybody a chance to fight out of adversity like that, it should be fucking Brandon Moreno of all people. He's extremely tough, and he always has been. So, yeah, it's a bit unfortunate for Brandon that it was stopped when it was, but it did feel like the pendulum was swinging in the direction of Taira, and I do believe that it was probably just a matter of a few shots away for a legitimate finish anyway. So I have a hard time being upset about this one. In fact, I'm not upset about it. It was just a great showing from Tatsuro Taira. He looked good on the feet, man. He looked to be a step ahead of Brandon Moreno. That's where I thought Moreno would have a huge advantage here, but clearly Tatsuro Taira has been improving upon the boxing. And once it gets to the mat, man, he is fucking serious, dude. He is serious. He's like the only one at flyweight that I could actually imagine scrambling successfully with Alexander Pantoja or being able to match him on the mat. So that's why I say I could definitely see him subbing Joshua Van. Like if you were picking Pantoja to beat Joshua Van, there's no reason why you shouldn't also pick Tatsuro Taira to beat Joshua Van, because that submission threat is significant. But as we saw, the ground and pound, the top control, Tatsuro Taira is just an elite grappler and is showing to be an elite mixed martial artist overall. Big fan of the dude, super lovable, as I said. Cannot wait to see him versus Van. And seeing as Van took no damage, and neither did Tatsuro Taira, I say we make that fight as soon as possible. February, March at the very latest. Dude, cannot wait for that fight. It's the only silver lining of the way that the co-main event took place, just the fact that we get Joshua Van versus Tatsuro Taira, these two young guys, newer generation guys. It's an exciting fight on paper, so I cannot wait for that fight to be made. Congratulations, Tatsuro Taira. Henry Cejudo versus Peyton Talbott was a barn burner, dude. What a fight. Honestly, just a really high level clash of mixed martial arts skills, even though it was mostly one-way traffic with Peyton Talbott having most of the success. He looked so good. He looked really good. It's almost like he didn't want to try and truly finish Henry Cejudo, which I kind of expected. Weirdly, you may not agree, but I feel like he was taking it easy on Henry at a certain point there. Because every time he would land on Henry, there was a noticeable effect. The way that he targeted the body as well so effectively. That is the one way that we've seen Henry get truly hurt inside the octagon, is when you target the body, similar to Merab in that sense, to where he's just historically been very vulnerable to the body. But man, what a performance from Peyton Talbott to lose to Raoni Barcelos, come back and look as good as he did against Felipe Lima in every aspect of MMA. And then to do that against Henry Cejudo as well. Like, Cejudo looked decent in there, man. It's not like he was completely behind it. He was tenacious, he was moving forward, he was getting hurt, but he was throwing back. And then the last 10 seconds of this fight as well, such a fun scrap. Peyton Talbott is super legit, man. There may have been a point where I thought he was just a hype train. No longer do I think Peyton Talbott is just a hype train. He is honestly super legit and a genuine prospect at 135. I actually cannot wait to see the future of Peyton Talbott, man. Peyton Talbott versus Petr Yan in the future? Maybe, but Petr Yan fucking does nasty things to him, I believe, which Peyton may actually enjoy. But having said that, the dude is a legit fighter. He's so good. We then get Jan Blachowicz versus Bogdan Guskov, and this fight turned out to be so much more of a war than I expected. It was honestly just a great contest, very, very close. Although the least controversial draw I've ever seen scored after the fight concluded, I was very much convinced that it would be a draw. And yeah, man, like I said, I have no complaints about that. It makes all the sense in the world. Round 2 was very clearly a 10-8 round for Guskov. The ground and pound was nasty. He dropped him. He cut him open in multiple areas. It was just a very obvious 10-8, and the fact that people are questioning the legitimacy of that 10-8 shows that people don't know how to score fights, right? And I'm glad that at least 2 judges got it right, but the fact that 1 judge didn't score it at 10-8 is retarded. But of course, yeah, round 1 and round 3, especially with how Jan Blachowicz finished the 3rd round, it looked like a very obvious round for him, but just a really fun contest, and I think this one ended up being a lot more of a scrap than people were expecting. And yeah, man, a draw that I have no issue with whatsoever. Manuel Torres versus Grant Dawson ended the way that I predicted, I believe. Yeah, I think I did predict a first round TKO for Manuel Torres. I just never rated Grant Dawson's ability to take a punch, especially off of somebody like Manuel Torres, who hits like a truck. Great knockout there. Grant Dawson was pretty much just winging big wrestlers, overhands, and getting his takedowns stuffed. Like, his entries were very unconvincing. It looked like an obvious eventual KO based on like the first minute of the fight. Manuel Torres got it done, and he is super legit. I'm very surprised that so many were picking against him, really. Terrence McKinney versus Chris Duncan went almost exactly as I predicted, just much faster than I predicted. I thought that Chris Duncan would weather the early storm and then get it done in the 2nd round by TKO, but he weathered the craziest storm from McKinney right off the bat, dude. The chin on Chris Duncan must be studied, right? Terrence McKinney very clearly hits like a truck, right? There's a reason why he never even makes it out of the 1st round. It's just insane. Terrence McKinney is the definition of killer be killed in there. But Chris Duncan came to play, dude. Eventually, I believe, reversed Terrence McKinney, got him against the fence, landed a nice elbow that dropped him, and then eventually locked in the sub, got it done. Chris Duncan is an absolute dog, and I look forward to all of his fights. Fantastic win for Chris Duncan. It was an absolute barn burner for as long as it lasted. Barber versus Karine Silva, and check out Barber's left arm in this picture. She looks swole. Holy shit, does she look swole. And I like Barber, man. I like Barber. In fact, after this performance, she's one of my favorite female fighters on the roster. She may be my favorite at this point. Just the way she fights, dude. She's very aggressive and looks like she wants to finish you at all times. And I really like that from her. And she got upkicked. I think Karine Silva tried a couple of illegal upkicks, but she got cleanly upkicked right in the chin at one point. Was on wobbly legs. And the fucking doofus-ass referee has the audacity to tell her it was just a glancing blow. Investigate this referee. Investigate that referee, right? After the Moreno stoppage, which was early, but okay, inevitable it looked like. But then you have this moment as well to go on top of that. Dude, investigate that referee, whatever his name is. He must be investigated. That shit was nonsense. And then the fact that Barber went on to just dominate the rest of the fight afterwards was justice. And she deserved the win. Congratulations, Macy Barber. Once again, that referee must be investigated. But I want to give credit to the commentary team for calling that out in real time. Faraz Ziem dominated Nazem Sadykhov. I picked Sadykhov here, and he looked like he didn't even deserve to be in the same octagon as Ziem. That frame of his with the clinch work, the high-level grappling, great wrestling, and he is a very good rangy striker. He's just very good at fighting to his strengths, right? He takes advantage of his physiology very well. He just fights exactly as he should for someone of his size. He's good, dude. He's very well-rounded, high-level, tough nut to crack. He's a tough one. He is a dark horse at 155. Him versus Benoit Saint-Denis, him versus Mauricio Ruffi. I would keep someone like Mauricio Ruffi away from this dude, man. He's a serious problem, I believe, and he's only young as well, getting better every fight. Fantastic performance, completely shut down Nazem Sadykhov. Was it a weird stoppage? Was it a interesting choice to stop it after the round had concluded rather than 2 seconds prior? Yes, it was definitely a strange call. It looked like the ref was going to... Was it Jason Herzog? No, I mean, yeah, Jason Herzog, by the way. I'm pretty sure it was Jason Herzog. But, nah, it looked pretty legit. Sadykhov did seem to be out of the fight there. So, yeah, no real complaints from my end, but it's Jason Herzog. So questions must be asked at all times, but congratulations for Ziem. Awesome performance. Marvin Vettori versus Bruno Ferreira was an awesome scrap. That's what Marvin Vettori's in the sport for. I don't care how many fights he loses, keep bringing him back against these dudes and just let him bang it out with guys, man, because he's a scrapper. He's a scrapper. Like, he's not particularly good in any area. He's not a specialist in a single area, Marvin Vettori, but he's tough as nails and will keep coming forward and will bang it out with you, and he did exactly that. Now, this fight was pretty close. I felt like by the end of it, I was sure that Bruno Ferreira would get the nod, but I felt like Marvin Vettori was still in the fight there. But man, he was eating some bombs off of Bruno. I thought Bruno was starting to fade, right? And the fact that he missed weight, and I thought would have had more of an effect on his gas tank potentially, but obviously not. He was able to stick in there until the end. And yeah, just an unfortunate run here for Marvin Vettori. He's just too tough for his own good. Good win for Bruno Ferreira, even though he missed weight pretty heavily, so it's hard to be happy for him here. Jalen Turner is back with another finish over Edson Barbosa. And I know it's Edson Barbosa, but yeah, it really was a layup on paper for Jalen Turner. I think everyone was expecting the knockout to happen. Edson Barbosa just cannot weather the storm like he could at one point. He landed a good left hook, but then other than that, it was just all one-way traffic from Jalen Turner. He looked so big in there, and it's good to have him back. It's really good to have him back. Come to think of it, we should actually do Jalen Turner versus Faraz Ziem. These two Lankmeisters, let's put them both against one another, see how it goes. That would actually be an awesome fight, man. High-level fight just outside the rankings. Let's make it happen, Dana White. These fucking animals fought like they thought they were a part of Dan Hooker's 1-minute backyard scraps. Holy shit. 2 knockdowns each, I believe. High octane. As soon as somebody threw a shot, they both decided, it's time to do Rock'em Sock'em Robots. Shit was bananas. One of the craziest 2-minute fights you're ever going to see. One of the craziest rounds of all time. Holy shit. What a way to announce yourself onto the UFC roster, dude. Iwo Baryanevsky, however you pronounce it. Holy shit. Just banged it out with Ibo Aslan. Big respect to Ibo Aslan as well. Crazy stuff. My goodness. I'm sure we were all out of our seats watching that fight. Fucking spectacle. Mansour Abdul Malik got Trocoli out of there very, very early. I think as all of us were expecting, whether you picked submission or knockout, odds are if you predicted this fight, you most likely picked Mansour to get it done in the first round. He did exactly that. Now it's time for a step up in competition for Mansour. He's obviously legit, but I think it helps that Trocoli is maybe one of the worst fighters we have on the roster. So Mansour, though, he is legit, 100%. Not trying to take anything away from him. He made easy work of the guy that he was supposed to make easy work of, so can take nothing away from Mansour. Good performance. And Myron Santos saved us from a very boring opener, right? The fucking first 2 rounds were not that enjoyable, very low output. And Myron Santos eventually found that right hand and then finished Naimov. I picked Naimov by decision, but Myron Santos, man, thank you for saving us there. I like Myron Santos. I just wish that he would have higher output. He's super clean. The way that he did Con Ofli was very impressive and just hasn't looked as good since. But that was a good statement win for him. Naimov, has some good wins on the resume. He's an underrated fighter, so to knock him out like that is a pretty big win for Myron Santos, so congratulations there. And before leaving you guys off here, I wanted to talk about 2 fights that were actually announced, man. 2 absolute bangers added to the UFC 325. We have Rafael Fiziev versus Mauricio Rufy. Now, interesting that Mauricio Rufy is getting a shot up the rankings after his last showing, right? Industry plant type vibes, but stylistically, obviously that one should be amazing, right? Rufy is a sniper and he does hit very hard and he's very accurate. And Fiziev is just so fast, right? Likes to get in the pocket and throw hooks, right? This will be a clash of 2 different, very different striking styles. Fiziev with the leg kicks as well. This one will be fun, right? Despite what you think about Rufy in his last performance, this one stylistically is a great one. But also Dan Hooker versus BSD. And now BSD doesn't have the same type of strength and absolute just fucking physicality that Arman does. So I don't believe that he will be able to just outright dominate Dan Hooker. I think this one will be a lot more along the lines of what we saw between Dan Hooker and Gamrot, right? Because BSD, as I said, he's just not as technical of a wrestler as Arman. He's not as good on the feet, and he doesn't have the same type of ground and pound, right? So BSD will probably look to bully Dan Hooker against the fence, and yeah, man, like I say, this one will probably turn out to be a bit of a fucking scrap barn burner. Very much looking forward to this one, and big respect to Dan Hooker turning around that quickly against someone like a BSD. Big respect to Dan Hooker. These should be awesome fights. That does conclude my thoughts on UFC 323. Bittersweet for sure, right? In many different ways. But Petr Yan, the most skilled fighter we've probably ever seen in the octagon, is back on top. And I honestly couldn't be happier. As gutted as I am for Merab, dude, I'm over the moon for Petr Yan. That's my favorite fighter of all time. And now he's a 2-time bantamweight champion in his prime. The amount of title defenses he can put up, the amount of all-time classics that we can expect from Petr Yan now. Oh man, I just hope that he's active. If he's active, then maybe the Paramount UFC era is off to a better start than I thought. But dude, amazing card overall. Gutted for Merab. Gutted. Completely gutted for Pantoja though. But as I said, congratulations Van. Because Van didn't do anything wrong in there. He just was fortunate. And it is what it is. Can't hate on the kid for being fortunate. But anyway, guys, I appreciate you watching. And I'll see you in the next one.